The grave that we are digging, or we are watching some people dig, even though they themselves will soon become a victim, because like you said, sir, now in the case of Edo, in the next 26 days, we'll have a new governor, and Obaseki will belong to the past. The complexities of this issue is a bit such that, we can't even say governors of a political party. The case of Benue is APC versus APC, which explains the unity between PDP and APC senators on this occasion. But with profound respect, I shall say substantially to what the former Senate president said. But I am like, there are more other questions that we ought to ask. Because even those of us who are here, our elections were challenged, conducted by INEC. And many of us are here courtesy of the judiciary. The judiciary found that those who were here before were not the winners, and in many cases, I'm not sure of the numbers. Many of us are here courtesy of judicial pronouncement, but me, it's courtesy of my electorate. Now, the issue for me is, why are we helpless? That is what for me leads to a much more complicated question. The purpose of judiciary is to listen exactly the same way as the state and federal high court tribunals and Court of Appeal and Supreme Court listen to those who have reasons to lay election petition before them. Why are the states, those who are victims of this open robbery across the 36 states, there is no exemption. They ought to be able to approach the judiciary in their respective state. And I know for a fact that under the law, the state chief judge constitutes a tribunal to hear petitions arising from local government election. And then the chief judge also constitutes an appeal court, which is drawn from within the state judiciary. If, as it seems to be the case, that the state judiciary are unable to find their governors guilty of conducting an election that had been described in the manner that Benue was described, but that language is applicable to all without exception, so that we are not seen to be picking and choosing what to condemn and what to celebrate. It raises the issue of the independence of the state judiciary. Because if they were alive to their responsibilities and they are able to void an election that, quote, was conducted, the results were out many days before, then there will be no problem. The Constitution envisages that people with power may be tempted to abuse it. That is why the third arm of government, called the judiciary, is established. So I think all of this have to be taken together. Because of the point made by the former SP, this National Assembly, we already have a precedent. You pass a law to grant state assemblies autonomy. That law was passed by the two chambers to amend the Constitution, but it required the concurrence of 2/3 of the states. Your Excellency, Mr. President, I'm sure you will remember that many states declined to assent to that amendment, even though these parliaments, state parliaments, were supposed to be the immediate beneficiary. So the National Assembly that was not affected was sympathetic, but the state assemblies were seemingly not sympathetic to their own cause because their governors were not in agreement with that. I think that said, and you have spoken to the sorry state of affairs in Edo State, but even that one, sir, I hope it doesn't happen under your leadership, because the National Assembly also failed us in Edo State.
But
because the power of the National Assembly
wasn't under my tenure.
Sir?
It wasn't under this 10th Assembly.
That's why I said, may it not happen under your tenure.
It won't, because we have provisions in the Constitution that we can use to correct the situation.
With respect, Mr. President, that is the point I'm making. when I said that we were also disappointed by the National Assembly of that time, the 9th Senate. I'm very sorry I have to say this, but the truth has no color. The National Assembly invoked their powers and sent a delegation to Edo, a panel to Edo, both the Senate and the House. And they reported that the governor did not properly inaugurate the House. And that was it. Nothing else followed. So for 4 years, Edo was under sole administrator. But even more painful is that whereas the Constitution says you can't have a parliament less than 24, Edo was run with 10 people. But I didn't come to Abuja to lament the imperfections in Nigeria. Like you, I think we are here to fix what is broken. Obviously, elections at the local government level is broken, and it has to be fixed. But to fix it, we will need to have in-house conversation, not within the Senate. The National Assembly, as you rightly said, the governors and Mr. President, to understand that it is in our enlightened self-interest, not a favor to Nigerians or to the local government. It is in the matter of enlightened self-interest of we, the political class. I now can't excuse myself because I used to fight the class, but as you can see, I'm here. To understand that the grave that we are digging, or we are watching some people dig, even though they say we soon become a victim, because like you said, sir, now in the case of Edo, in the next 26 days, we'll have a new governor, and Obaseki will belong to the past. He's already actually gone. He's gone on terminal leave. So I don't know how we're going to do it, but I would suggest that we have a convention under your leadership, invite scholars, invite other political players, statesmen, so that together we can look at this. Because even if you create another INEC and the character issue remains the same, the idea that I must have everything, I must take all, whether by hook or by crook, nothing is going to change. But I believe that you have shown leadership in many other ways, and this will just be another uncommon situation that God will use your leadership to bring about in our country. Otherwise, we may do the way the president appoints the minister of FCT. The governor can as well go and say he's appointing who he wants as chairman, so that public fund is not even wasted in the name of, quote, election that we know are never on. It is a shame across the 36 states of the Federation. But again, now we must make exception to Mr. President of the Senate for at least you won one. That must be a tough fight. But the rebellion was crushed in your local government. Thank you very much, Mr. President, sir.
Well, this is the show Edo State House for Assembly.
Actually, we have 24 and only 10 were sworn in at about 9:30.
10 of them?
10.
So what happened to the other 14?
They were out for all of 4 years. All of 4 years. They were not sworn in one day. The Attorney General, the former Attorney General Malemi, wrote to the IG to provide security for the members to be sworn in, but the state government and the police, in quote, tried to enforce it. They put granite and anyway, for 4 years they were out. They never sat one day. They never earned anything, and whatever they spend in electioneering, they are just like I don't know how to put it. It's not nice to talk to describe people in some ways, but obviously, just imagine what you go through, the stress of electioneering, the cost of electioneering, and you are declared the winner. There are no issues of whether you were properly elected or not. The court satisfied that you were properly elected, and the governor just declined to inaugurate. I remember the former Senate president, for you to see the complexity, sir, some APC governors were involved in this conspiracy. Now, the Senate president called a meeting to settle this issue, and he asked a former chairman of Governors Forum, someone, I don't want to mention him, but someone from the Southwest, and 2 other governors, and so on. And he was to have a meeting with them, and they told the Senate President, the APC in the state told the Senate President that truly they were not able to inform the members for proper inauguration. He considered that. And the Senate President, to his credit, I mean, God bless you for that, told the governors, one of whom was a former senator, and said, you know that this is the only procedure to inaugurate a house. And that procedure was not followed. And the only remedy is that proper inauguration be done. He told that former Senate governor, who was chairman of Governors Forum, APC Governors Forum. And in the presence of another governor who was the chairman of Nigeria Governors Forum. And the governor of Edo then said he wasn't ready to repeat the process.
Would it be out of place for us to revisit the issue, the remunerations of those 14 members who were sidelined for 4 years should be paid by the incoming administration of the civil senator Akpabio? No, but I think the court had ruled on the matter. Is the matter still in court?
No, sir. To the best of my knowledge, I'm not sure of the state of the matter in court. But we have discussed this with Mr. President, and I know, coming in, we have a lot in his hand, and naturally he will look at this. But if the Senate was to pass a resolution, because we discussed this issue with the President, and he's very, very sympathetic, and he promised to do something about it. However, whatever
but we just mentioned that it's a subnational issue. It is not a federal issue. This was an isolated case where the man you brought as governor turned against democracy. That is. So I'm not surprised that the people of Edo voted him out. So the question I'm saying now is that if you could please consider bringing a motion for us to reconsider the plight of those 14 legislators in Edo State, since it is not there is no legal equivalent. The civil senator Ekon Samson, you may wish to answer them on how I.
But I supported him, just the way you supported Governor Udom. So we supported. I didn't have power to appoint a governor, but I supported the way you supported Udom. And I think there are many governors who have supported, even the men who are complaining, they supported the Reverend Father. Yes, sir. And from Father, now Abba Father.
Okay. It's not a discussion for today. Yes, this is. So I just wanted to correct that impression.
I speak for Akpabio South. I'm not too sure of the premises that my colleagues, pinned their opinion. In Akpabio State, we do our handshake across borders. We extend our handshake across borders, and it was very, very commendable when the chairman who represents the LG of the SP, he was running on Monday. I went, took pictures with him. I'm of the PDP stock, he of the APC stock. At the end of his meeting, we went to your place and we shared some buttons of understanding with your chairman of council. And we also had councillors from the APC stock in Akpabio State. We are councillors. Some mention has been given of the chairman of council. Not a word has been said that in my state there are some councillors from the APC stock. Clearly, you find that in Akpabio State there is democracy at work. So Benue may have become a metaphor of sorts, but in Akpabio State there's a lot there's a commitment to core values, and there's respect for the Senate President, especially if across party lines. And so nobody should be surprised. In the Akpabio state, we are brothers and sisters. There's a lot of maturity, and there's clearly a handshake across borders. But the president, the Bedouin case presents, as I said earlier, a metaphor. But there are also some principles. There are some broader principles that are at play. Principles about our jurisprudence, principles about law, principles about our pragmatic approach, and of course, very respectfully, our commitments to our value system. Ghosts don't rig elections. I never said before where ghosts are exhumed to intrude in the processes. It is the political class, it is the players that orchestrate some abuses, some which are quite monumental. So I think the issue goes beyond Benue. The issue goes beyond what we want as a country, as a democracy, sir. In Nigeria, one gets worried when we celebrate victories over battles. We pay little attention to victories over wars. Even if a process favors us, even if it is flawed, we celebrate it. But when a process turns against us, then there are concerns that are raised. So I think the time has come for us to really look at our value system, because a free and fair election is at the cornerstone of a democracy, and that's one way that we can win the respect of the international community. So we have to really look at attitudes, and the electoral laws and jurisprudence is very, very key. When one sees what happens in a country, one recollects the dark past, the days of the ABN, Association for Better Nigeria, characters that emerged, and the role of the judiciary, which puts us in a tailspin. We must come face to face with the challenges of our history and see how we can make amends for the sake of this country. Let us inculcate, let us encourage a value system that will give Philip, that must give Philip to free and fair across party lines, because abuses in democracy doesn't spare anyone. If it favors you today, it will be held hostage tomorrow. So,
let me thank you for your contributions. But let me point out that elections were not perfect. The local government elections were not perfect. My colleagues are even appreciating the state governor for remaining steadfast, realizing that it would be impossible for the Senate president to lose even his own local government. And that for him, some governors would have gone ahead to even announce what they like, saying that it belongs to the federal. He can go and do what he wants there. But that he announced the APC chairman of my local government, who duly won the elections, and the state is PDP, that is where the commendation comes in. That with people like Governor Moeno, that there is hope. Not that the elections were perfect. I hope you understand that there is hope for us to have a national dialogue with a view to changing the situation. So I actually do commend Governor Moeno for that. Like my colleagues have said, it was a very uncommon gesture on his part. Then please, you can sit down. And then Senator Abamoro, you started this. You brought this up, and then you had support across party lines. Now, the world needs to know that it is not limited to only the PDP states. That the sham of local government election goes beyond party lines. I think that's the conclusion of the Senate, and that there is need for us to do something to reposition the local government as a third tier of government. So what you are seeing here is that it has never really been a third tier of government. So we commend the Supreme Court of Nigeria for the ruling that reforms of local government should go direct to the local governments. But then we, on our part, in the National Assembly, must give Philip. We must take the next step to ensure that the decision that has been so far given by the Supreme Court becomes alive. Even all these things about elections or selection or coronation of local government chairmen and councillors, we are the ones to do something about. If the public sees us crying, then they will lose hope in democracy. So we are giving notice to the public that we are poised to change the situation for the better. I think that's the essence of this dialogue. That is why I allowed people to speak across party lines. But if Senator Olamide, if it's for any specific thing, we are past it. We are just saying that the next thing now is for us to discuss the way forward. And it's not going to be here. Like the SP Emeritus pointed out, all hands must be on deck. We must have a meeting, we must have a national dialogue. The president must be there, the governors must be there, even the past governors must be there, and those who are doing second term, who will soon become past governors, should also realize what they are doing to past governors and political office holders could also happen to them if the situation is not corrected. And then the public is waiting to see what the National Assembly will do to ensure that elections in the local governments are free and fair. For now, I always believe that we have only two tiers of government, the federal and the state. If we correct the election situation in local governments across the country, that's the only time we can have a three-tier system of government. So that we don't overflow the issue. Olamide, you just ran off.
Representing the West Central District. Mr. President, let me start also by thanking the mover of this motion because he has done a very, very human job and taken the bill by the horn. And also to commend my colleague who have said one or two things about this motion. Mr. President, in your earlier submission, you said, what are the solutions? And I agree with you because for my state, we are yet to conduct the local government election. And so far so good, we are watching and looking at the process. And there are some school of thought in the past who have suggested that we should expunge local government from the Constitution. There are some school of thought that believe that local government should not be part of Constitution as a result of what is currently happening. Mr. President, let me say this. Every 4 years, we in these chambers and all other elected officials for election conducted by INEC, you see everybody is running helter-skelter to have one legacy or one thing to show for. Enough is representation of anything that he's doing. Because you know that in the next 4 years he's going back. And if he has not convinced those who voted for him, he voted out. So there is expectation. But the local government is not the same. It's not the same. So for the school of thought that believe that INEC be empowered to conduct this election is because there should be expectation. It will be far, far better off than what we are witnessing. It will be far better off. Sir, again, you mentioned about Edo State House of Assembly. Yes, they have 10 honorable members out of 24. It is our duty, Mr. President, to ensure financial autonomy for all the state assembly. You can be financially autonomous. If we really want solution, because they are talking if we don't keep bringing the governors, there will be we cannot succeed. And what is the instrument of that they will use? It's because they are not financially autonomous. We can do it here. We are financially autonomous, that is why we can do what we do. So we need to work in that particular area. Mr. President, also, we mentioned about the local government. Yesterday we were here. We started by the Supreme Court pronouncement. Today we are here talking about election. Sir, it must be realistic. If we have started with one, we must do the second leg. We can't do one and leave one. If we we have succeeded in having financial autonomy for this local government, we must also have election autonomy for this local government. If we must balance everything, or else 4 years, year in, year out, we will continue to come and discuss the same thing. And this 10th assembly is the opportunity, because it started with us. If financial autonomy has started with us, we must complete the transaction. I'm telling you, I agree with the school of thought that we should bring people to the table and agree and let's discuss. But at least for once, we must, if truly we want the grassroots to be functional. The federal government is settled at the federal level, the state is okay, but at the local level, there is nothing. So please, Mr. President, I join my other colleagues who have made various suggestions to say that there is urgent need for us to address this deplorable situation. Thank you, Mr. President.
Well, thank you for the purpose of closing, but there are a lot of questions begging for answers. Prayer 1, condemn the Benue State Independent Electoral Commission's blatant disregard for democratic principles in the sham local government elections of Saturday, 5th October 2024. Those in support of prayer 1 say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Prayer 2, urge the Benue State Independent Electoral Commission to conduct elections in those places where elections did not hold and allow the people to choose their representatives. Those in support of prayer 2 say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Prayer 3, urge relevant government institutions to notify the elections and do the right thing in line with laid down principles of law. Who wants to amend that? Or let me put the question. Those in support of prayer 3 say aye. Those against say nay. The nays have it. You are the only place, the only place that can annul the election remain the courts. So not relevant agencies of government. So the nays have it. Prayer 4, further urge the federal government to deny allocations to local government councils when selections are done akin to appointment of caretaker committees. Yes. Those in support of prayer 4 say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. So the civil senator Akpabio, look at what you have done to us. You brought a very controversial issue, and it has taken us the past 2 hours to deliberate on it. I thank you for recognizing my state as a state that at least gave semblance of elections to local government. I did not go to take part to win. I went to take part to observe. And so, Olamileko, I said I didn't go to take part in the local government elections to win. I went to observe. So that when it is time to take relevant decisions to correct the system, I will do so from a position of knowledge. So please, whenever Ogun State is about to do its own, go there and check. If you notice what is happening in Benue, Benue is APC versus APC. Akpabio is just suffering from collateral damage. That's the truth. Because I understand he was not even allowed to enter the seat. So Akpabio is suffering from collateral damage as a result of APC fighting APC. And that is why they did not want any court injunction. So they had to swear the local government chairman in by 4 a.m. because no court would sit by that time. Otherwise, they would have received a court injunction restraining them. So we will do something about it. Deputy Senate President, the DSP, is part of what your committee must also take seriously. But the faster, the better. I want us to conclude on all these constitutional amendments, electoral amendments, and then look at ensuring full autonomy for state assemblies, ensuring financial autonomy for local governments. If we can achieve those things under the administration of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, then we will have been able to set the democratic process on the right track. And I think that should be our commitment. So observe what they are doing, because this one is akin to somebody sitting down to do caretaker committee and then using the name of election to cover it. So I thank you, Senator Abamoro. We are in sympathy with you, but you know you have a right to go to court. There were all parts of the country where the sham elections. I thank you for your observation, but be rest assured that the 10th Senate and the 10th National Assembly, being a corrective one, will do something about the situation. The Egyptians you see today, you shall see them soon no more. Leader of the Senate.